It's been a while. I do apologise, it has been a while. For those who saw my announcement video from last week, I did explain a bit why it's been a while, but yes, no longer sick, although Meg is still recovering from a cough, a stubborn cough that won't go away. Yes, it was quite an interesting winter, I will say. For most of February, it felt like it was March, and then during the last week and a half of February, it's like, oh, wait a minute, it's supposed to be winter. So where we lived, we kept getting slammed with snowstorms, and that probably did not help with us getting sick and whatnot. And then we had some issues going on with our vehicles, which are still trying to get resolved, but it is what it is. Meg's out running errands right now, but she'll be back soon. Leo... Hello, Leo. Where is he? There he is. Leo is joining us for the episode. Hello, Leo. You're adorable. Yes, he's gotten along quite nicely with us. Alright, enough of that. So today we're going to be looking at a story called Harry's Brom. Yes, this story was quite a doozy to look for because it was deleted off of fanfiction.net ages ago. But apparently it's still around, and I did manage to find it on Tumblr, out of all places. So Harry's Brom is a Harry Potter fanfiction. I'm not sure what the word count is going to be, because when I tried to copy and paste it into a program to see what the word count was going to be, I couldn't figure it out. Put it in like Notepad, and Notepad doesn't say, you know, what the word count is. So I think it should be fine to read aloud. The author is Hans von Hosel. Might as well talk about this fellow. We'll read the little about thing about him. So, Hans von Hosel has regretfully decided that the time has come to leave the community at FanFiction.net behind in exchange for bigger and better things. This Tumblr is in memory of him and his inspirational work. Alright, here's a quote from the author himself. Hello there, my name is Hans von Hosel. I like to write stories to make and improve of my English. Please read and enjoy. I have idea when one day I going in Berlin, suddenly everything in English. I could not understand it. It was like it in another language, so I make English and do stories in it. Okay, so this story has 18 chapters, and, well, they're very short. If you don't believe me, take a gander. Yes, that's legit the entire first chapter. Those 3 paragraphs are the first chapter. Right, let's get this over with. So, chapter 1, Harry's Brom. Harry was very angry with his Brom. He had lost another game, and now his Quidditch Brom snapped. I think this is supposed to say his broom. He threw a ball at his Quidditch Brom to try to put it back together. How would throwing a ball at a broken broom cause it to repair itself? Can't you just use your wand to go repair it, or whatever the spell is? But it remained in one piece. Alright. Harry had his wand, or has his wand from his pocket, and zapped on Bromo. The Bromine unresponded. The Brom started to fly away. No, yelled Harry, I need of Bromini. But it was too late. The Bromini had flown into the moon. Alright. Chapter 2. Christmas at Hogwarts. It was a Christmas at Hogwarts, but suddenly the Christmas tree zapped on fire, and the gifts and decorations all burned to the ground. Well, that's depressing. Harry got... but nobody was able to present the store. Present the store. Everyone had to evacuate the building. Looks like there will not be without Christmas this year, Ron said, wondering why there won't be no Christmas this year. Harry then pointed to the snow. Then snow suddenly zapped on fire, and everyone had eviction. Harry wandered on the snow, but he could not unzap all of them. The snow continued to fall on the building. If you have not broken your Brom, Hermione said, we would not be in this mess. What does a broken broom have anything to do with the school catching on fire? I'll get it. Sighed Harry. Hermione was right. He should have Brom, but there was no time for that now. He looked into the sky and wandered on the clouds. The clouds disappeared, and so has fire snow. Suddenly the building exploded, but nobody was hurt. The snow was usually snow again. Okay then. Chapter 3. Harry looked around. It was a lot of Hogwarts scaffolds were used. The scaffolding fell from the roof and onto the floor. At least the fire snows is gone, said Harry. Suddenly, Harry Brom zapped on fire and started him around chasing. The Bromine was angry at being discarded. The Brom started to wave in the moonlight as the fire around him fizzled out. Suddenly, Harry's coat on fire. Harry jumped around on the snow, hectic around it, but suddenly the snow started to fire up too. The fire snow were returned. Harry jumped to his Brom, but his Brom rejected him. "Please, Brom," Harry shouted. "There is no time. Brom, I am sorry." Harry jumped on the Brom, but they rejected him. Harry attacked on its Bromine so that it could not refuse. The Brom started to fly up and down. The fire snow quickly gathered through the meeting. Up in the sky, suddenly Sputnik on fire. The Sputnik was a friend of Bromine, and Harry was a tyrant to the Bromine, so that the Sputnik came and began to Brom. The Sputnik satellite. Is that even still up there? I highly doubt it. Bromine quickly flew away into the sky, and so has the Sputnik, so that Harry was by himself on execution of fire snow. Chapter 4. Brom's Revenge. Harry Brom was angry about the rejection. Harry had escaped from the fire snow, and now the Brom has lost his revenges. The Sputnik had flown back into the sky, and he Brom, supposed to say wanted the help. Too bad. The Brom went to the window and spied on Harry. He was sit with Ron and Hermione in the building, almost ready. Hogwarts was now almost complete. The Brom had to move it, otherwise it could never get the chance. The Bromine flew from the sky in an attempt to make a plan to kill Harry Potter. The Broom looked into Harry's hand. His magic wand, thought the Bromine. He is helpless without it. The Brom began to think of stealing the wall. The Bromine focused on nothing else. The idea of Bromine, other Broms, controlled by the people, the Bromine thought of a world Broms were decided on people. The people said, or Brom said, "What insignificant creatures." The Bromine turned away to a plan. What the bloody hell am I reading? Chapter 5. Broken Hogwarts. The 3 students went through the school. They had not yet Brom. They just walked only in the school. The school was almost empty corridor except for these 3. Around them were all Broms. "Okay, Brom," Ron said. "My Brom is. I would like to deny it. Let me ride. Unlike Harry Brom. Let's go my Brom." Ron's Brom unresponded. "To Brom?" Hermione said to her Brom. Her Brom, too, unresponded. The Bromines just sat there. I'm just saying Bromines because of how they spelled it. I don't know why they can't just say Brooms. "That's strange," Hermione said. "Our Broms are unresponding." "Do you believe that?" "My Broms were here," Harry said. "We have to go." The 3 quickly run away from the Broms. Okay, that chapter's done, I suppose. What was so broken about Hogwarts? Chapter 6. Brom's Plan. Harry sat in bed. Suddenly, Harry's bed on fire. Harry jumped up immediately, and they spelled that wrong. Immediately, whatever. The bed has never been on fire before. Well, it must have been on fire because earlier in the story the school burned down. And if your bed is inside the school, then yes, it was on fire. Harry thought and reached for his wand to it. His wand was not there. The Brom! Harry screamed, jumping all around the room. The fire was spreading everywhere in the room. Help! Harry cried. Ron and Hermione heard the scream and quickly ran to the door. She opened it and threw their wands, zapping the fire away. Thanks, said Harry, but he looked at Hedwig's cage. Hedwig was not there. Instead, there was a note. Hello there, Harry. I have your bed, and you will not return unless you release all Broms of the world from the store cupboard. Yours sincerely, Brom. Harry looked in amazement that Hermione had taken Hedwig. How exactly, though? Hedwig could just fly away. Did the Broom, like, magically sprout hands or something? The Brom sat with Hedwig for a while. Oh, I'm sorry. Chapter 7, Brom and Hedwig. The Brom sat with Hedwig for a while. Brom looked Hedwig. You're a feathered bird. Are you? Are not you? Brom said. Hedwig let out a loud squawk of approval. The Brom sat there with Hedwig perched on him. Hermione is outside the window. But if I have, Brom said, I will kill you, so Harry knows I'm not messing. With his tassels instead of weapons, the Brom could not open up the store cupboard full of his fellow Brominies. Brom instead, he would have to wait for Harry to do it, if he did it. Chapter 8, Store Cupboard. Harry opened the door to the storage cupboard. Broms were everywhere. You cannot do this, Ron said. Ron's right, Hermione said. It's too dangerous. I am here, Harry said, for Hedwig. It's just a bed, yelled Ron. Harry in anger and raised his wand, but I thought he didn't have his wand. Only a bird, eh? He said. I'll show you only a bed. He flicked his wand. Broms of the world, unite! Then Hermione from around the world flew up into the sky. Ron and Hermione quickly ran away from the brothers of Bromine, flew into the sky high. Chapter 9. Broms of the world unite. Brom turned on the TV screen. Hedwig squawked. Brom smiled, the Bromine flying all over the world. There were so many Broms, as many discarded unused Broms, flying up, rising into the firmament, which were Broms, a colony, a goal, to destroy the human race. News stations the world had reports on Brom's attack. Hogwarts and CCTV had captured the Harry Potter Broms letting loose as well. Brom looked across at Hedwig. I have my goal now, Brom said, but I will see how you luxurious an animal. What? But I will see how you luxurious an animal. Hedwig squawked again. Brom broke off the television and saw from his window Brom's Danube everywhere. Once people used to ride us, said Brom. Now we shall ride people. I don't think that would be very effective. We can't really do much. Not really. Chapter 10. No Hedwig for you. Oh, bloody God. Why does this have to keep going? Harry sitted on the bed. He looked at Hedwig's cage empty. It was empty. Yes, we know that. You just said it was empty. Harry sighs at there was no Hedwig. Yes, we know that. We know that he doesn't have Hedwig. Suddenly, Hedwig's cage was on fire. What is with this person and fires? Okay, goodbye, Leo. Harry jumped up and tried it out with his magic wand. The cage was now a pile of ashes. Harry looked sad. His last souvenir of his Hedwig was gone. Well, at least Hedwig wasn't in the cage when it was on fire, you dolt. Meanwhile, Hedwig sat on top of the Brom, laugh and play. Brom was started, have a feel for the strange little bird Squawky. Please don't let them end up having a sexual relationship. The owl squawked and played Scrabble with Brom. The Brom had Hermione the freedom. He has no need for Harry's owl to give back again. Hedwig sat with Brom. You do not look at me differently as a nation. Brom said the happy and Hedwig squawked off approval. Harry looked at Hedwig's cage. He knew that Brom had set him up. Set him up for what? What? What is going on in this bloody story? Chapter 11. Harry get arrested. Gee, I wonder what's going to happen in this chapter. Harry suddenly, what an interestingly atrocious sentence you have there. Suddenly, the police at the door and take him to Ienzenhoft. I guess that's a prison. Harry was arrested. Yeah, you don't say. The brothers are free of Hermione. Ron and Hermione heard the noises. They knew he was taken away, but it was his own fault. Harry should not have let Brom's away. Harry was shout for his friends to help, but suddenly he was in solitary confinement. They just had solitary confinement as one word. Oh no, Harry screaming. Maybe I should not have let the Brom loose. The police stopped him and tell him to shut up. Meanwhile, the Broms take in the whole world, and Hermione are all united. All but one, Brom. Chapter 12, Luxurious Animal. Brom asked whether he should join its Hermione. The idea to its outer timber. He looked again at the bed to peck at some grain he had thrown down. Brom was worried when he feelings for this animal. Hedwig only looked up contently. Sighs Brom. Brom went to Hedwig and caressed her feathered. Her feathered what? Hedwig leave a purr. Owls can't purr. Brom stopped. What was he doing to this poor owl? Oh no. No! No! Don't you bloody dare! I won't let you take slowly, said Brom, which threw more seeds on the ground for Hedwig, a-biting. Brom back and looked at the news messages that people were trying to fight the Hermione, but it was no use. Brom laughed and Hedwig squawked. Okay, well, at least they didn't go any further with that dialogue, for now anyway. Chapter 13, Harry in Eisenhoft. I'm probably not saying that right, and I apologise. Harry was stuck in Eisenholt, but the police cannot. Harry overlooking hole in prison and escape through. He must return to Hogwarts to the chaos he jamade. Is that even a word? Jamade? I doubt it. And get back Hedwig. Ron and Hermione were sitting in the room at Hogwarts, talking about why Harry let go of the Broms. Suddenly, floor on fire, the two jumped up to get clearance eviction, but the fire door. There's a ton of typos, by the way, and I could be doing screen caps showing them all, but we would be here all day if we did, so that's why I'm not doing it for this episode. Oh no, they make a fuss, but people do not hear them. Suddenly Harry's warned the floor. Ron and Hermione can see. Harry was back. Okay, I guess he escaped. Chapter 14, Martial Law. Brom sat on couch with Hedwig. Brom launched to the spring game bird channels instead of news. Hedwig squawked in approval. Brom liked Hedwig. Brom caressed Hedwig's feathered again. Brom looked to the moon. Soon, Brom said, this world shall be ours. Brom laughed, but suddenly the news came on Avert the Bird channel. Brom was very angry. He observed a breeding of the birds. The news messaged that a state of the Broms, and they had martial law throughout the country. But it was no use, since Bromy can fly. Brom laughed at humanity's weak attempts. Chapter 15, Escape from Hogwarts. At least there's only 3 more chapters after this one. Harry looked at Hedwig's ashes, back empty. Hermione turned to Harry. I report to you now, said Hermione. For your Broms go. Harry again tried to apologize, but Ron agreed with the girl. They should not have let the Broms, yelled Harry. Hold a phone. Or yelled Ron, I meant to say, not Harry. Hold a phone. Harry looked at the phone. I ring the police. Ron said, picking up the phone. Harry grabbed the phone off and threw them aside. No, Harry yelled. I should not, Brom. Hermione nodded. They should not have Bromine, Harry, said Hermione. You go back to the police now. But he just saved you. He saved you and Ron from the fire, and you are thanking him by trying to turn him back into the police. Harry rushed to the door and hid from them. He thought of Hedwig. He thought of Hermione. Harry runs from Hogwarts. The only friends he had now betrayed him. Chapter 16, Hermione. The Brom looked around. Happy it was. It sit with Hedwig, happy. Suddenly, Brom switched on the news. The news channels were in absence for once, failing one by one. The Hermione have been turning people into slaves. Hedwig squawked and flapped her wings in approval while Brom laughed. The people would never be able to defeat Broms now. Although Brom would not really focus on the fighting. He was a bit of a coward and would rather stay inside with Hedwig. Chapter 17. Later of Hermione. Hedwig started to squawk furiously. Brom sighed. What is it now, Hedwig? Asked Brom. Hermione was all da-noobing outside Brom's house. What is this? Yelled Brom, opening much of the door. The Hermione burst into the house. Brom, said Hermione, you are the very first Brom, and as such are the leader of Brom. I, say Brom, the leader of Hermione. The Hermione put a crown on Brom, and Brom laughed. He was much the leader of Hermione. Final bloody fucking chapter, thank bloody Christ. Chapter 18. Victory of Brom. Brom and Hedwig sat there on the throne of Hermione. The Hermione all had gathered around and did worship of Brom. Brom smiled and now controlled all the armies of Hermione, and he would no have to do any fighting. Brom tickled Hedwig and she squawked at him. The Hermione made Brom a sacrifice of sheep. Brom smiled, and was now a world full of Hermione, just as his plan had said. And that's the end of the story. And that was such a colossal waste of time. What the hell was this? What the bloody hell was this? So, Harry and his broom get in a row, and the broom runs away, and then he convinces Harry by kidnapping Hedwig to release all the other brooms from Hogwarts, because apparently Hogwarts has all the brooms in the world locked up. And then he lets them out, and then Harry gets thrown in jail. And I don't know. This was what I... I mean, I get it, this is not this author's first language, but still. I just... It was just bad. It was nonsensical. It made no sense. The chapters are ridiculously short, which I guess could be a blessing, but having to read 18 chapters of, you know, these small little paragraphs of stupidity, and half the time you don't know what's going on, it was just silly. And why were they being called Broms? What was with the Hermione? What was with the weird relationship with the owl and the broom? It was just stupid. It was really stupid. This has got to be one of the stupidest things I've ever read. Wow. Thank you to the person who requested this. Thank you for colossally wasting my time with this story, because this story... Wow. 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 Well, I hope you all enjoyed today's episode, somehow. If you liked it, please be sure to leave a like and leave a comment. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I would greatly appreciate it. I will see you all in the next episode. Until then, cheerio.